everybody. Welcome to a brand new year. It's 2024, and xLights is going to have a lot in store for us. If you haven't been paying attention, there's been a lot of enhancements, a lot of bug fixes, and a lot of changes coming for 2024, and they're all going to be very, very exciting. So you're going to want to stick around. You're going to want to hang out and check out some of this knowledge I'm going to try to impart onto you. I've been taking some time off the last few weeks because, as you know, when you've been in the hobby 8 or 9 years like I have, a little break is important. So I took about 30 minutes for myself. So I'm feeling energized and recharged right now to get going for you, to make this content available to you, to help you along your xLights journey. To begin with, I have to say, it's interesting to see the uptick in new enthusiasts coming out of the gates, full throttle in 2024. I mean, you folks have not slowed down, and the new folks entering, wow, you're asking a lot of great questions in a lot of great places, okay? So keep those questions coming, and everybody's going to do their best to get you the knowledge, the answers that you seek. Don't be afraid to ask those questions. If you don't ask questions, you know, you're not going to get the answers, and you're going to rely on others to help get those for you, and that's okay. Maybe you're shy, maybe you're embarrassed. I get it. Adult learners hate asking questions sometimes. But with xTreme sequences, Monday minutes, you don't have to worry about that, because I'm going to try to address some of these questions. And the first one is a bit of a doozy. I want to go straight into my show has changed, or the sequencer that I love, his show has changed, his models have changed, he's deleted, he's added, he's created new submodels. How am I going to get these new submodels into my show? I like the submodels I had, but he says, he swears that these new submodel groups are pretty cool. So I trust him. So how do we get these new submodels in existing models and make it fairly easy for you? Now, here's the conundrum. Over the years, I have a lot of working progress with Gilbert Engineering USA models. So we have some models like the Rosa Grande that I just really haven't touched, and they're in particular orders, and we're going to leave those alone. But then there are models like the King Ransom, King Diamond, Square Peg, Dragonfly, Space Odyssey, and hopefully the list is not too much more. Fusion, Click Click Boom, Shapeshifter, things that I've spent quite a bit of time in adding and modifying. So would it be easy just to send these to Gilbert Engineering USA and have them upload them in the site? Maybe, but the problem is all of the older sequences, until they're updated, still rely on the submodel orders, that hierarchy, to get the effects in correctly. So I don't think that that's a good idea at this time. With the advent of aliases, it can make it easier, but I'm going to show you the approach that I take every year when I make changes to my show, which includes new submodels, new models, new submodel groups, and how I bring them in. I want to teach you how to do this to make this as easy as possible for your show. But before we begin, please smash that thumbs up. It sure helps the channel, and subscribe to the channel. We love it. All right. And we thank you. Here we go. Before you here is not my 2023 show. This is my 2022 show. This is basically what it would have looked like. And you'll see that I have some of the lovely HD models from Gilbert Engineering. Here's my squared one. Now, if we notice in the GE squared one, I go up to the submodels, and I'll scroll up here, and I'll find this here somewhere. GE squared one, where are you? I missed you. There we go. Ah, there we go. So here is my squared diamond group, squared all span, flake group, squared group. So basically, and a few others, triangles, pinwheels, spokes. So these are all great groups. Now, I didn't create a lot of these groups. These were done by other people. I know Gary Hatt's worked on it. Eric Myers has worked on these, and other people. And so during that time, I was just way too busy to do that. So I've made time for myself to go in and re-explore some of these models and submodels. And with the help of Marion Cherry, I can't say his name enough because I think what he did in xLights was evolutionary to the program, and it's been a godsend for someone who works with models and submodels and sequencing. So again, Marion Cherry in 2024, I'm going to be first to say it. Thank you. All right. Because of this symmetry rotation stuff that we could do with submodels, I have just gone crazy. I've gone wild with creating new submodel groups. And with these new submodel groups, some of these are beefier than older submodel groups. And when they're beefier like this, they're using more nodes, they really should kind of be pushed up to the top. That way, all the things that are more sparse that want to pop out through the beefiness, they have room to breathe. So if I did an outline and then below that did something really beefy, well, the outline doesn't exist. The outline is just overridden by all the beefy nodes taking place with the submodel. So it's sort of like, why even use it? So some of the submodel groups I've sort of just kind of pushed aside. I don't really use them. They're not my cup of tea. And then the new ones all sort of go to the top. So in this 2022 layout, you'll see that I have my square peg. I don't have my fusion. I want to bring my fusion in. I have my king diamond, king ransom. So we'll just work on a couple of these. You'll get the idea, and then you'll be able to do the same thing. And thank goodness, xLights gives us the ability to import a lot of things. We can import models and submodels and all that kind of stuff. But here's where you have to be careful. If I import a model, let's say I import 4 models from my newest world, 2024, Christmas 2024. If I import 4 models that are brand new, that I have made changes to the submodel, it's going to bring those 4 models in. Now I have 4 additional models. Does not replace the existing models. I wish it did. I wish there was a way for it to say, hey, I noticed this King Ransom you're bringing in that's newer is the same thing as the King Ransoms on here. What do you want to do? You want to replace it and replace all the submodels or merge them? It doesn't do that when you right-click, import. Where we go? Here we go. You have to make sure no models are selected. See, right-click, import previews models, and then I can go to my 2024 show, and then I can bring in my RGB effects, and you'll see here it's going to give me a list of everything I can bring from the newer show. The challenge is, it's 2 things. I mentioned one. It's just going to create another copy, which I really don't want. The other thing is, it's going to carry some baggage with it, and you're going to have to go in there and tell every one of these models that it is no controller, because it still thinks it belongs to one. So that means you're going to have red. You're going to have overlapping channels right out of the gate. So I don't like that. 2, once you do have it in there, you need to replace the model with the model. So why don't we just skip that and replace the model with the model. We will be doing an import, but it won't be import previews and models. We'll do that when we get to the views and edit display elements. And you're going to see how wonderful that is to place everything in order for you. Because I changed the orders of some of these models. So for 2024, my sequences are going to have a very specific order. So if you want them to look exactly the same, you're going to want to know how to do this. All right, so I'm going to cancel out of here. Let's just start with, very important when you're doing this, if you're going to have 2 shows open, because I have another show directory here that's open. This is my 2024 layout. I want my 2022 layout to inherit some stuff from 2024. The 2022 layout might represent your brand new show that you're working with. Okay, so for me, this is a safe sandbox. So what I want to do is to get this show to have very similar things or exact things as my newest show does, okay, without destroying my layout. Okay, so in my 2022 show, the first thing I'm going to want to do is let's go ahead and bring in the new King Ransom that has all the new submodels, okay, and I'm going to click import. So when I do this, it's going to ask me, where do I want to take this from? So I basically went to my latest xLights world, which is Christmas 2024, and I exported the model. And it asked me, what do you want to bring with that model? I want to bring all these submodels. And then it packages it up and throws it onto wherever you put it as an X model. So I'm basically taking this X model that I exported from my latest show world, because I want to catch up my 2022 world. And I'm going to click on my King's Ransom. And I'm going to click open. So I'm going to go slow with this. I have imported an X model from my latest world that has the latest model, submodel groups. Okay? Don't worry about the hierarchy. We're just trying to bring over any enhancements or changes I have made to the model, which will likely be different than what you're going to download from xLights. Okay? So specifically, let's look at this for my sequences. This would be great practice, and you can apply this across the board with everything you might map in. Okay? The first box that pops up says model group or groups already exist. Model contains model groups that already exist. Would you like to add the model to the existing groups? Yes. That means it already recognizes other models over there, such as squares all, fan spokes, squared flake arm, and squared, but anyway, whatever the model is for King Ransom. So you say yes. Click yes. That's it. Okay, so that was simple. So now if we scroll up here and we look at King Ransom, GE, blah, 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 King Ransom Squarelet, you'll see that it also brought in new submodel groups that didn't exist before. Hag is one. Don't laugh at the names. Follow Me Short, Follow Me Long, Excalibur, Entrails, one of my favorite, Duchess, and Church, and I think that's about it. So by importing this newest model, we have all the submodel groups. This is up to date. But our existing King Ransom already has a home. It already has an output number, already has a controller. So xLights makes it very easy for us to replace the old King Ransom with the new King Ransom, this guy. Okay, so I can click on this guy. Ooh, hello. Let's bring you down a little bit. You don't have to put this guy in place. That's one of the beautiful things about xLights. As it progresses each and every year, each and every release, it just makes it easier for us to do things that we couldn't do in the past, not as easily. So if I were to right click on the new King Ransom, I am able to replace a model with this model. And I'm going to do so. It's going to ask me, well, what do you want to replace this model with? Well, I'm looking for the GE. This is going to be the GE King Ransom 1. I only have one. Okay. If I had two GE King Ransoms, I would do this 2 times. Okay. It's not possible to do multiple at this point. I hope to see that in the future. When I click OK, get ready for a series of yes, no questions that are really important to the success of this. Click OK. It says update start channel. Should I copy and replace model start channel, House Falcon, blah, 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 replacement model whose start channel is currently blah, blah, blah. Yes, what this is saying is, hey, this new model, do you want it to take the place of the old model and keep the old model's controller information, start channel information, number of outputs, all that kind of good stuff, and controller it belongs to? Yes, absolutely. They're just going to say, merge the submodels. You would think the easy answer is yes, but it may not be. There are already existing models in there. So if I merge the submodels, it's going to put these and on the others on top of it. I'm going to say no in this case. I don't want to merge them. I just want all the new submodels in there. Because you may use this prop for older sequences, and if it has the other submodels, then you can make use of those. So I'm going to click no. Use original size and position. Yes. In other words, we're about to see the one on the above here, the new one, disappear and replace the one in the garage. and click yes. Wait a minute, but there's more. I don't know if I'm filling out an IRS form or trying to replace a model in xLights, but it's important that we see these. Save old name as alias. Would you like to save the old name as an alias for this prop? This could be useful if you have sequences already sequenced against the prop. Well, we're already replacing the name with the same name, so there's really no reason to do this. However, if you had another vendor that sort of decided to change the name of a model or a group, it would be a good idea to click yes to save that alias so that when you're mapping, it'll choose either one. In this case, I don't need to. I'm going to click no. And then it says save old name as alias. Would you like to save old name as alias for this prop? Again, I'm going to say no. And it thinks. This disappears. It pops down here. And now when I click on this, this still says that it is GE King Ransom 1. The name is not changed. It still belongs to House Falcon F48, and the output number has not changed. It is still port 1. Now, what do we have here? So let's look at the submodel groups. If we go up to the Ransom, where are you, Ransom? Ransom Star-Lord, you're going to be further up. GE King Ransom. Okay, so here's my King Ransom group. Everything lights up. Hag, Matrix, Square, Ransom Shard, Square Peg, Scarlet. Here's a new one, Duke. Where's my other new ones? Oh, they're way up here. Here we are. King's Rep, Excalibur, Entrails, Duchess. Now, you're going to notice in these newer models, especially the new models that I've worked with, there are two types of groups. There is a Duchess group, and then there's also a Duchess group model. I don't really use the model portion of this, but I know that some sequencers use individual models that sort of encapsulate all of the submodels into one. So I put these in here in case you want to use those. So let me show you what that looks like real quick. I'm going to deviate from course just for a second, just so I can tell you, or show you what I mean by these submodels. So if I look at the Duke here has 4 submodels. Okay, let me just bring this up here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and what I will usually do with that is right click and tell it to split. Then I get my 4 Dukes. These sections here. Those go into a group called Duke Group. The Duke by itself may be put into a group called the Duke Group hash model to signify that it is one model group. You can use that at will and have fun with it. It's just another choice. Okay, that's all that is. Okay, I'm going to cancel out of here. Yes. Okay. So that was King Ransom. Let's do. Do we want to do another? I think you sort of get the point. I really do. I think we're okay to move on. So let's just kind of recap what I did with the King Ransom. I imported the newer version of the King Ransom. Okay. I brought it in. And then I replaced it, and it gave us all of the new model and all of the submodel groups. I didn't merge it. I wanted to keep the old ones and add the new ones. So if we go over to our sequencer, we're going to see that there is perhaps a new challenge. And that is the hierarchy of the submodel groups. So if I right click on Edit Display Elements, you can also get there by clicking on this guy, which is Edit Display Elements. It does the same thing. We are going to see that my main sequence view, which I trained to be my master view, right? Pretty much the same thing. If I scroll down here, we're going to see in the King's Ransom, we're going to see pretty much the old world. And this is the order. So ransom, inner circle, circles all, outer, outline, diamond, 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 matrix, square, squarelet, stragglers. That's it. This is what I've used most of the time. But this has changed because of things that Marion Cherry has done. And because as xLights progresses, we have to be willing to take on this progression and make changes if it makes artistic sense and it makes sequencing better. And I'm hoping this does. I have certainly really enjoyed some of the features I get by doing this. Okay, you have to reinvent yourself. You have to try new things. So I hope you're willing to try new things as well. Okay, I need this to look different in here. I need this to have the same order. And let me get out of here. I need this to have the same order as this. When I go in here, this is my 2024. In my 2024, if I go down to that same group, which is King's Ransom, we're going to see King Ransom group, Duchess, Church, Excalibur, Entrails, Shard, Show Outline, Hag, Follow Me Long, the Duke, Follow Me Short, Square, Rotation, Matrix, and then some of the older ones. So the older ones are typically underneath unless there's a lot of meat to that submodel, in which case it may go up higher on the hierarchy. So I need to get this hierarchy into my modified show, or the show I'm trying to bring in the modified models. Fair enough? Okay. So how do we do that? Well, xLights again prevails and says, hey, we have a better way of doing this. I mean, you could do it manually, which initially I had to do, and it takes some time to do that. But what I would recommend is you're going to go in here, you're going to right click, edit display elements. You're going to bring, where did you go? Did you hide in the background? You did. There we go. Edit display elements. You'll see here that this is the old setup. We can click import right here. Now you could come over here and start dragging these. Remember, I don't use the models. That's you can use if you like, play around with that. So I could click on this and I could click on group, entrails, Excalibur, long, short, hag, shard, rotation, Duke. I could click these and just drag these over and then manually put them in order. I'll have a list updated pretty soon for all my submodels and the orders that they're in. Or we can just import from my 2024 world. And we can view from a layout file. If I click view from layout file and I go to my 2024 world, so this will be any of the sequences from 2024. And some of them have already been updated. If you see a sequence and it says 2024, it's going to have just about probably 99% of everything you need. The only thing it's not going to have is the new model that I've added to the 2024 show, which is click, click, boom from Gilbert Engineering USA. What we're going to do here, once you are looking at my RGB effects file from 2024 sequence, right? Any 2024 sequence, we can click open. And this is going to ask us, hey, do you want to bring over the main sequence view? Why, I sure do, because I've trained my custom view to be the main sequence view. I click open, and let's see what we have here. We have main sequence view 1. So we could rename this and call this xTreme 2024. There we go. How about that? Okay, xTreme 2024. And in here, we're going to see that it has all pixels at the top, blah, 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 pretty much everything I have. But what you're really going to want are models that pertain to your show in the hierarchy. So if you have a King's Ransom, this is now put the King's Ransom in order. You can get rid of anything else you don't need if you don't have it in your show. It's not going to come over anyway because it doesn't exist in your show. Now we can see the hierarchy by importing that layout from the RGB effects from my latest show world. And I have the King's Ransom, I have the Duchess group, Church, Excalibur, Entrails, Shard, Crown Outline, Hag, Follow Me Long, Duke, Follow Me Short, Square Rotation, all the way to some of the older ones at the end. And wow. And then you got to make sure when you do this and you're going to import a sequence from me, it's probably a good idea to go ahead and make that master, all right? And now I can import a sequence and all of this will be in order. Or you don't have to make it a master. You just have to be able to have access to it. It has to be on this side here, or when you're importing or mapping a sequence, it won't know it's there because we don't have the hierarchy of these models and submodel groups here. And it's very important that they're here before you map. Because if you try to map and they're not here, mapping says, I have no idea what ransom hag is. I got some guesses, but I have no clue really what it is. So they have to be here when you're mapping. Now, would it be great if we were able to map and be able to tell it to also choose other views? There's a thought. How much trouble will we get in for making that work? I don't know. All right. So let's take a look real fast. If you want to see some effects on here at the main group, of course, there you go. I mean, that's not super exciting. That's just the main view. I'm going to put this on overlay center, just something I really like. And I'll scoot this down here and let's speed this up a little bit so you can see some of these groups, and I'll even put a couple on here. And so that's what the King Ransom Duchess does. This is what the Church submodel does, Excalibur, Entrails, Shard. I mean, there's just a lot of really cool things. There's the outline. Here's Hag. Follow me along. The Duke. And what's kind of fun about this, you start playing around with these and you put these with some different colors in here. And maybe flip this around to bounce right to left. And then we start getting some really fun combinations of things going on. Just a lot of fun. Yeah, there we go. Maybe, I don't know, let's just pull this down here. Let's put you on Church. Let's have you match the duration of the alignment both times. Boom. Let's just put you on white. We will, hello, you on white. I messed that up, I'm sure. And let's put you back on red, not white. No, Ron, stay focused, brother. And we'll go ahead and put this on overlay center. There we go. And we're going to need some speed. Yeah, and then you just play around with where you want these things to be. And that's looking cool, looking cool. Oh, I do like that. I do like that. So anyway, sky's the limit. But as you can see, the submodels that have more meat to them, more nodes, typically are going to be at the top, followed by the ones that are a little more sparse at the bottom. And that's how I'm going to be rocking 2024. Okay. So again, this is a 3-step approach. Step 1, import the new model. Step 2, replace the old model. Step 3, just create an animation sequence, right-click, edit display elements, import from layout file, choose the RGB effects of your sequencer's newest layout, and then you can automatically have the order go in their exact same order. There's no limit to how many views you can have in xLights as far as I know. So these views are instrumental. So if you're rocking other people's sequences, no matter who they are, or you're getting shared sequences, or you're getting my sequences, I would have a view for all of these various sources to make your mapping experience better. I think the idea of having to go into the mapping side and training it over and over and over until you get it right, that was really 2019. I think we can do better. And if you're getting that advice, I would ask, why are we still doing it the old way? I think this is a better way. I don't know. I've been doing it since 2016 like this. It seems to work. I'm adapting newer ways of creating submodels and managing it. And again, as long as your show looks great, it doesn't matter. None of this matters if you're happy with the way it is. But I hope that imparting some of this knowledge will help you along your journey to making life a little bit easier when you're transitioning year over year with new shows, new additions, new ideas, new concepts. I would love to say xLights is super great about always making it easier. It's not always the case because with enhancement come new features, and some of these features can be complex. I'm just going to be here along the journey with you to try to humanize it the best I can. All right, that's all I've got for you. I hope you found it valuable. We'll catch you next week. You take care.